I mean, he has won, but he hasn't won, if you know what I mean. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now, I think today's title goes without saying. Vegeta, one of the main characters of modern day Dragon Ball, or what a certain Topo branded once as a second fiddle, is a character who has a massive following, as well as a major hankering for the art of defending the Earth. Without even realizing it, or actually actively offering, over the course of his tenure in this series, and many actually, Vegeta has, both in GT as well as Dragon Ball Super, taken up the mantle, or been foisted upon, being the defender of Earth, whereas Goku, who is meant to be doing the job because, you know, he is the mainest character of them all, he's just flitting about doing what he wants and fighting who he wants. And it just so happens to be in the favour of our Dragon team most of the time. It's just happenstance. And sure, he may be on the good guy's side, but he isn't the best example of a good guy out there, especially when you got the side characters lording him up for everything that he does, and effectively letting him get away with everything that he does. I could go on about this for many an hour. In fact, I sorta did. You can check out my video from last week, where we explored and focused on the darker side of Goku, up top for more information about it, if you're curious to watch it. However, the subject for today is Vegeta. Why he needs to win this upcoming battle with Moro. And by the way, if you're not too sure about who Moro is, I really recommend that you check out the manga. It is actually really good. You can actually check out some of the chapters for free on Viz's website if you want to get an idea about what I'm talking about. All of this discussion and the idea for this very video started a few weeks back when Haverock and I put together 5 possible scenarios about how the latest arc in the Dragon Ball Super manga story could end. 5 story endings which we might possibly see in that story based on what we already know. Whilst most of them would be acceptable to most people, with one being absolutely horrible to witness, there is one ending which is starting to really come to the fore amongst all fans of the series. One that would be really popular, which really brings back up the biggest chestnut that a lot of you out there haven't really savoured since the days of Android 19, or even Pui Pui. Well, I mean, okay, you could probably count Taga Maginyu, but Vegeta was really phoning that one in, wasn't he? Really. It's all to do with Vegeta needing to get a win in modern arcs. This was dangled in front of us during the Resurrection F movie and Arc of Super, where he could have bested Frieza when he was down for the count, and then the Emperor just pulled a fast one and blew up the planet before he could do anything. And when the redo happened, Vegeta still didn't get the opportunity to do it because Goku still would win, like he often does, and made fun of Vegeta for it later on, making him feel even smaller than he already is. Hardly a good example of a hero for Goku. Surely he should have done a better job of explaining what happened and why they needed to do it. At least complimenting Vegeta for stepping in when Sorbet jumped Goku earlier. I mean, doesn't Goku remember that? You know, he got bested by a blaster and Vegeta was there to pick up the pieces? No? What has gotten people excited most recently is that Vegeta is now being subject to the same Yardratian training that Goku did way back in the post-Namek era of Dragon Ball Z, to get a power which could grant the power of almost infinite teleportation across galaxies. But now, that turns out just to be a basic thing that all pupils of Yardratian training get. And even that was something Goku barely mastered. He then got bored and went home. Now Vegeta realizes this, he would rather skip said basics and go on to something the other potential powers of the Yardratians, like cloning, gigantification, or even healing. Which one has Vegeta gone for? Well, we don't really have any clues for that yet, but we soon will. Haverock and I have been talking again at great length, it happens a lot between us because we are very big Dragon Ball geeks obviously, all about what's going to happen next in the story and where the manga will finish, and we believe that we have, at the time of chapter 58 being the latest chapter out there, 2 more chapters left before we get some kind of conclusion to this bad guy Moro. Nearly 20 chapters he's been around, and these chapters aren't short or anything. It's a pretty good run for a baddie these days. That's like a third of the entire Super Opus so far, which is no mean feat. Do we see Moro being defeated by Vegeta and the end of the story wrapped up in chapter 61, tying up the loose ends before we then move on to a little bit of a filler arc, or maybe a new story altogether? Do we perhaps move on to another arc within an arc, with possibly 7-3, who was carted off earlier, returning to get his revenge for Moro, or making our heroes' lives harder in general? But the main thing that got us thinking was that Toyotaro has been far more receptive in terms of listening to what the fans are thinking and wanting. This is very unusual for Dragon Ball, with Toriyama going on record many times over the years, stating that he does listen to the fans when it comes to ideas and requests, he just chooses to be twisted about it and do the exact opposite of what they want. The point is that Vegeta's placement in the story is really giving us some interesting clues. For the last couple of chapters, he has been absent almost entirely, with only a token mention from Moro here or there, or from other characters mentioning that he wasn't there. It's like the Poochie effect. Where's Vegeta? Now Goku has arrived, Vegeta still isn't there. Doesn't that strike you as odd? Why would Vegeta not want to turn up and join forces, give his buddy a hand? He had stated quite a few times that he wanted to use all the time he had to get stronger, and when Moro struck, that's when he'd come in. He still hasn't. It throws a lot of questions into the air. Well, okay, I think one thing is becoming clear, based on the pacing of the manga right now. Goku, right now, isn't going to get the win. If that is even Goku to begin with. Recently, this week actually, Haverock was talking to me about this, and he threw this theory at me that he'd been postulating since the manga came out, but he wasn't quite sure how to convey this in its own video. But I feel it could work for the theory that Vegeta is needing and going to get the win here, or at least play an important role in defeating Moro, more than just a simple assist. That saying we think is Goku right here might not be Goku. It might be Miras in disguise. Wait, Masako, how is that possible? How can Miras disguise himself as Goku and convince people that he's Goku so perfectly, acting like him? How? Think about it. Miras and Goku have been tied together since this arc began. What do you think the two of them were doing before we stepped in and put Miras in a timeout? Miras got to know Goku in his own personal chamber without distraction. He's been getting to know Goku for ages, and when you fight someone, you learn their style, and Miras has a prodigious mind, even for an angel. And as for the disguise part, well, that's easy. Angels in Super can do anything. Now this all stems back to Whis, if you want to know. It's never been made clear what the full roster of powers Dragon Ball Angels possess, and that is intentional. Initially, we just thought that these guys were the attendants of the GODs, like a butler with some transportation skills and a calm demeanour, being able to handle anything, even Beerus. Then we found out they are actually usually stronger than their masters. Then we found out that they are really stronger than their masters. Oh, they can then conjure things out of nowhere, perform C-sections immaculately. Bulma being pretty grateful for that. Oh, and they can grant life. Yeah, with Frieza. None of this was planned, I can assure you. In Super, angels have been kept deliberately mysterious, and that has played into the hands of the writers. Now, usually, pulling powers out of the ether for a character is bad practice for storytelling, and with any sort of character. But what the Dragon Ball team have done here is absolute genius. These angels are so mysterious and ambiguous, yet they're so appealing and charismatic, we don't care that they can basically do anything, that a lot of powers are just pulled out of nowhere for no reason, just to be convenient. It allows for MacGuffins to be plucked out of nowhere, just here, there, wherever you want, and we can just accept it like it's no problem at all. When compared to removing babies from wombs cleanly, or cheating mortality, yeah, disguising yourself is pretty easy. But let's get back to the Miras idea and how it ties to Vegeta. So this Miras Goku is here, having escaped or seemingly bargained with Whis in some way to correct his error in releasing Moro or making it easier for the mage to get loose. The biggest clue is something that I touched upon in the manga review, that is until Haverock pointed it out to me, so I have him to thank for this. Nobody can sense Goku's ki because it was too fast, except Moro and Jarko. Why Jarko? He's not exactly strong. Well, it's because of his special eyes for a start. A trait of his people, apparently. And also, it makes sense because he works with Miras all the time. This whole thing with Miras, he's not surprised. He's actually acting really jealous of the guy. He doesn't get stunned by him. Also, why would they include that chestnut unless it was important? That's a storytelling basic. Don't add stuff that doesn't add anything to the plot progression. Now you also may remember from my review that I was surprised that Goku was being tactful to Gohan. That's maybe another clue, because that's not how Goku acts. He's not that respectful. In a way. This could be another clue, it might not be, but I still found it very odd and I made light of it, so it might be a bit more nuanced than I first suspected. On top of that, even Piccolo and Gohan are left stunned at this remarkable speed and improvement, and then Goku going Ultra Instinct at will, without any difficulty. Right after saying to Moro, "I'm not the same guy I was when we first met." These words might be truer than we think. Now, about Ultra Instinct. Isn't it odd that Goku can just turn it on so quickly after just a couple of sessions with Mirrors? I mean, yeah, I know, for the plot and sake for that, but it's still a bit unusual. Usually Goku would have to be knocked out or severely winded to be pushed into it. And yes, sure, Heroes has shown him do it quite easily, but that was after extensive training with the GP, and of course this being Heroes, they can do what they want, yeah. Mirrors and he was short on time, and it seems a little too convenient. So this potentially adds fuel to our theory about Mirrors pretending to be Goku here, and also lends fuel to the fire of Vegeta winning this arc. Ultra Instinct has come about too soon. Granted, this is the first step of Ultra Instinct we're seeing, and not the mastered version, the one that's inferior looking as well, that we saw against Jiren, but it's a little unusual to see this so early into the battle, when Moro and Goku hadn't even locked arms yet, they haven't even fought yet. The whole bargaining with Sagambo, I mean, that's gone, he's already bitten the dust, so why would Goku need to rush things now? This lends to our idea about the scenario from our earlier discussion, in that Goku goes Ultra Instinct, but it isn't enough to beat Moro, and it's up to Vegeta ultimately to step in and either assist Goku or take the lead from his Saiyan counterpart. If our Mirror's idea is true, then Goku is going to show up eventually, having sensed Krillin's energy, but having to hop, skip and jump his way back to Earth instead of instantly getting there, wondering who this guy is, pretending to be him, everyone going like, what? And Mirror's then showing himself and explaining the situation and how he escaped. We need to really hammer home the idea of Vegeta being strong enough here and why he needs this victory potentially. Vegeta's training already, from what we've seen, has been remarkable, and we can actually see a comparison. In just one blast in an earlier chapter, not even a serious one, he took out multiple Moro goons, who were probably granted a grain of their master's energy to supercharge them to make Moro's conquest more effective. Vegeta was stunned by this power, and it's not every day that Vegeta is surprised by his own power. Think about what he's able to do with his mind to the grindstone, and Pibara giving him the utmost attention possible. When he will arrive on Earth, whatever power he has along with his basic spirit control training could be greater than Ultra Instinct on its own, as well as being far more sustainable. Ultra Instinct, unless you're an angel, has a time limit, and you can easily fall out of it, or your body can decide enough is enough like we saw with Goku and explode. So Vegeta's power right now possibly might be enough to win out, especially if he's chosen to learn cloning. With clones by his side, he could confuse Moro into draining the wrong Vegeta and leave himself open. And this brings us back onto why Vegeta needs this win. If Vegeta doesn't get the win, this being the actual Goku that we're seeing and our first scenario from our video being true, then Vegeta's arc is absolutely finished. I mean, what more can he do? Moro is the most formidable enemy in terms of universal scope Super has ever seen. And sure, Zeno has put more universes in peril, but the GP, his attendant, was in control of the situation. Here though, there is no control. Moro is a maverick, wanting to eat this universe for breakfast. Vegeta's intelligence and prowess can best him, and this would be the best outcome for all the fans, and at a time when Dragon Ball Super is a bit of a mixed bag and it's slowly becoming irrelevant for most people, this could really win back favour with a lot of the fan base, who will then see their boy doing the business and outfoxing Goku. It would add a lot of hype quite easily to proceedings. It's a no-brainer. We are all tired, even I am, with Goku getting the victory, and especially tired of him leaping in all of a sudden and taking the win from people who deserve it. Even with the faults of the Goku Black Arc apparent, seeing Trunks get the win over the physical manifestation of Zamasu felt very good, even if it didn't end ultimately the way we wanted it to. Vegeta's case is vital. With the way the pacing of the story is going, it is very possible that the prince will arrive in time, possibly giving Goku, or whoever this Goku is, a taste of his own medicine and steal the win from his main rival and show what he has always said to Goku to be true. He will get stronger his own way. He will do what Goku did in terms of going to Yardrat, but unlike him, he will stick it out longer and excel him, being the opposite to his compatriot. The animus to Goku's anima, if you remember our colour theory videos from back in the day. It is essential to see Vegeta develop and become the Vegeta we see in the end of Z portion of the story. I mean, if that still happens, of course. To see a Vegeta who is chill, more self-assured, and more relaxed with his own being. Not as angry or resentful as we've seen him in the past, knowing that he is powerful and a true equal to Goku, if not a superior, in various ways. Thanks to Goku or Mirus or whatever this is going Ultra Instinct now instead of in the next chapter, it gives us our biggest hint that the Prince will rule the day. Pun definitely intended. If not, and Goku just wins again, then my confidence in this series will be severely dented, as I think will be the case for you too. So what do you guys think? Do you feel our theory has legs? Are you of the mind of Vegeta getting the victory? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!